Every time the pressure rises, we play better. Let's go take down the field.
An Ultiworld subscription gets you closer to the players and personalities you care about with game video, in-depth written and video analysis,
He's going to take off deep, but what he does is very simple.
documentary shorts,
And we've played Brute Squad before, and it just feels a little bit harder to lose this year.
and a whole lot more. To get your subscription or learn more, go to ultiworld.com/subscribe.
This game is brought to you by Spin Ultimate, proud to sponsor Ultiworld's 2020 college coverage. Visit Spin Ultimate on the web at spinultimate.com.
And welcome to Ultiworld's live coverage of the 2016 College Championships. Joining us in the middle of the action, just gotten underway. We're in our third point here between Wisconsin and Pittsburgh for this men's quarterfinal. I'm Keith Rayner, joined in the booth by Brian Jones. Brian, glad to have you with us. So far, it's 1-1. Are you seeing anything that you didn't expect so far?
Wisconsin's come out and just looked great. I had an unfortunate drop right there, and as soon as I speak, the commentators curse.
Barker's deep shot is hauled in there for the game's first break. Kevin Tang on the other end of it, and Pittsburgh strikes hard to capitalize on Wisconsin's mistake. 2-1, Pittsburgh leads.
It's a rainy day out there. It's coming down. Really going to soak the field and soak the players' hands, so we expect to see a lot of turnovers that you normally wouldn't see, especially since it's been so nice here in Raleigh this far. Wisconsin came out, looked great, looked steady. Pittsburgh took some time, had a turnover on their first possession, and now Pittsburgh gets the early lead on a fast break, and that's a great strategy to come out with against a high-powered Wisconsin team. When they're on their heels, put it deep, take the chance. Pittsburgh converts.
And the conditions after 2 days of sunshine, heat, clear skies, a little bit of maybe a little light breeze. Now we've suddenly descended into a gray, rainy mess, Brian. How do you think this is going to impact these two teams?
I think it's going to be a battle of who can still play their normal offense. Wisconsin this weekend has had such a great ability to throw the deep shots, and it's almost been a track meet for them. They have a lot of athletes. It's classic Wisconsin Hodag style. They've been able to get it to their underneath cutters and then immediately put it deep. Pittsburgh, on the other hand, is a team with textbook throwers. They're ones that can throw in almost any condition. I think the rain here gives them a little bit of benefit. Wisconsin's the favorite team because of their athleticism, and Wisconsin's game is going to change a little bit coming into this. Not as many deep shots.
And one adjustment you might see is some of these poaches to take both of these teams away from their efficient, clean offenses. Pittsburgh poaching a little bit to start, maybe to stop an initiating set from the Hodags, but now the Hodags finding some room, and here's a deep shot going up for the 6'6" Craig Cox. He'll haul that in, and a high-release flick finds the hands of Ross Barker for a goal and a hold for Wisconsin. That makes it 2-2 between Wisconsin and Pitt.
And that's more of a classic Wisconsin style that we've seen this weekend. Early on, Pittsburgh was playing a little bit loose, doing a good job of stopping their flow. Wisconsin likes to move the disc fast. And you saw it there when Cox gets the disc near the end zone, no hesitation, turns and throws. It's his man. We're going to see a lot more of that in this game to come.
And Wisconsin has been playing some of, if not the best ultimate in the men's division coming into this game. Pittsburgh, a single loss, their first game of the weekend. They lost 15-13 to Auburn, one of the other quarterfinalists and pool winners. And since then have had some close games, but managed wins over Minnesota, Utah, Carleton, and then Texas A&M in the pre-quarters. What's been your impression of Pitt, Brian?
Pitt, you go back again to just the throwing prowess that they have. Max Thorne, they don't have the depth of athletes that some of the other teams have. They do have some superstars, Trent Dillon, of course, who is a Callahan finalist. But really, they win the games by managing the throws, managing the risk, being able to turn it around. And here it's a matter of can their throws and their intelligence kind of overcome the just brunt force of this Wisconsin team that's chock full of athletes who love to go get the disc.
And Pitt with this senior core with their last chance to win their own title. And here's one of those guys, Trent Dillon, launching a deep shot here. And that's going to be hauled in for a goal by Andrew Lemberg, the sophomore, coming up with his first score of the game to make it 3-2. A quick and we're back here between Wisconsin and Pittsburgh. It looks like a stoppage of play may give us a chance to catch up a little bit. Apologies for the late start. The change in conditions, the rain has caused a couple of technical issues here, and we're working through those now. Let us know if you're seeing any issues with the feed or with the audio, anything like that. We'll address it as quickly as possible. But thanks for staying with us. Thanks for your patience. Now the team's trying to figure out where everybody should be. 3-2, Pittsburgh leads up a break. Each team's gotten one shot at a break, and Pittsburgh has converted that only chance.
Pittsburgh trying to employ some early poaches here in the opening sequence of the possession. Trying to slow down this Wisconsin team. They've done a good job so far. Wisconsin was able to hit on one huck to Craig Cox, and here we go.
And Avery Johnson's throw looks impacted by that wet disc as it comes out Blady. Van Dusen's throw the other way is also going to tail out of bounds.
I think that's what you're seeing here is this Pittsburgh team is committed to the fast break and moving the disc fast against this Wisconsin offense. As soon as they get it, they know they're going to make some mistakes, but in the end it's going to be a big benefit for them.
And a turnover for Wisconsin is going to give Pittsburgh a chance to add another break. See this deep stack set up for them, and then Wisconsin pulling a poach, maybe a double team almost. Stoppage in play from a downfield call.
Trying to take away any set plays from Pittsburgh going to be very important.
Graves up the line for Tang. Tang into the end zone. He scores, and that's his and Pittsburgh's second break of the game, and Sabanur has jumped out to a 4-2 lead over the Hodags.
It's so hard when you come out here into a tournament and you're Wisconsin, and it's been literally, when you looked at the weather forecast yesterday, it was 0 miles an hour.
What does it mean to be powered by Savage? It means we become part of your team. From the moment you're paired with one of our sales reps who will guide you through the ordering process, to working with a designated member of our design team to bring your vision to life. Every step of the production process happens in-house, from printing your gear on our green line fabric made from 100% recycled plastic bottles, to cutting out every piece and carefully stitching it together by hand. Wherever you are, however you play, we've got your back. That's what it means to be powered by Savage.
And we're back here at Ulti World's live coverage of the 2016 College Championships for this men's quarterfinal between Wisconsin and Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh up a couple breaks, jumped out to a 4-2 lead. Been the better team after the turn so far, and this efficient, merciless Wisconsin O-line has shown a couple flaws. Now, Brian, as the coach of Connecticut at your first college championships, you've had the opportunity to coach against both of these teams.
Yeah.
What has that told you about these squads and how they might be able to win this game and advance to the semifinals?
Yeah, when we faced off against Wisconsin, it was evident that they had just a great depth of athletes, and their game plan is to get it to their undercutters and then be able to shoot it deep. And that's why you're seeing so far that they're being limited in their game plan. And that's why it's so tough coming into a weekend like this where the first 2 days are one weather condition and all of a sudden it changes. Right now, Pittsburgh, a team that we faced earlier in the year, has just such great throwers and the ability to game plan. Nick Kazmarek, a coach that strategically has had an edge for years. You're looking at a team that has the right game plan and executing early on. Wisconsin is going to need to make some adjustments. They can't go to what they were doing earlier in this weekend that was working so well for them. they're going to have to grit it out and find different ways to score.
Yeah, and you mentioned Nick Kashmarek, Pittsburgh legend really as a coach of this En Sabadell program. He and Dave Hogan and their staff have gained a reputation for being one of the smartest, most calculating coaching staffs you will find in Ultimate. But a lot of credit has to be given to this Wisconsin coaching staff, Hector Valdivia and company, for really helping this team develop an effective system and a higher level of execution after their offense was criticized in past seasons. And their drop by Aaron Spiess is probably going to be protected by a foul call.
Looked like just clipped the ankle, something that doesn't look like a foul but really impacts the player.
And Spiess has been one of the most effective offensive weapons in the men's division at this tournament. Draws the matchup with freshman Mike Ing. Just shows how much respect the coaching staff has for Mike Ing's ability to defend. There's Spiess exposing him with a deep cut. Opens up some space for this Wisconsin offense. Craig Cox now holding.
I see a lot of Wisconsin players not playing with gloves, and especially in this day and age, it's become so important.
And there's a shot to Spiess in the end zone for a Wisconsin hold. 4-3, Pittsburgh leads.
Going back to regionals for the University of Connecticut team I coached this season, we were worried about the rain, and so I went to Home Depot and bought 20 Gorilla Grip gloves for $5 each. And that's something what players actually really enjoyed having because it gives you such great grip on the disc. Avery Johnson and Craig Cox both are playing without gloves. We're seeing a lot of wobbly flicks. They were able to convert that one. But for Wisconsin, this has been the story. They've had the turnovers that have come from errant throws due to the rain, where Pittsburgh really has not. They've had a pretty good time of it, moving it around, and that's the difference in the game.
And Wisconsin was one of the favorites to win their region, the North Central region, but both they and Minnesota were surprised by really horrendous conditions, rain, mud, wind, and Carleton was the team that was able to win the region. A big surprise during the regional season. Wisconsin, so really struggling in these conditions the last time they were forced to play in the muck. I'm sure they're glad to be on this beautiful turf field, but wonder if that's in the back of their mind as they get started here. However, they hold the advantage in this series 2-0 against Pittsburgh this year. Beat them all the way back at Florida warm-up to begin the season, 11-9, and then defeated them in the Stanford Invite Final, 15-13. If you remember that game, Trent Dillon calling the timeout when the team had none. One of the biggest plays of the season. We'll see if Dillon's got a big play in store for this Wisconsin zone. The first time we've seen them go out of straight person. And Thorne, and Jack Slevin are looking for some holes now. Thorne with the blade over the top of the defense to Dylan Best. And we've seen Pat Earl throwing another crossfield hammer. This one hanging, and Sterling Kanaki's going to get in to break that up and earn Wisconsin a break opportunity.
Exactly what that Wisconsin zone was designed to do. Take advantage of Earls, who's been an aggressive thrower, to say the least.
Earl's very casual there, and maybe a little too casual on the catch for Wisconsin. Bill Kluender with the drop.
Rain affecting both teams. Wisconsin sticking with the zone. And you see a trap zone here. 3 guys trying to push to the sideline and make Pittsburgh make tough choices with their throws.
And a great block in the cup from Wisconsin. Slevin trying to go with a sneaky blade towards the sideline. And now Wisconsin has earned their 5th chance at a break. Have not gotten one yet and won't this time. The layout block. And now Wisconsin trying to take off before the zone can set.
It may be dirty, it may be rainy out there, but this is the game that we chose to watch because it's 2 blue blood programs that have come out and really done a great job over the last several years, and so far living up to the hype.
Pittsburgh entering the red zone now, where they are so deadly with their quickness and throwing talent. You see Jack Slevin, the Oregon transfer, making his mark on the game as he drops in his first assist to Max Thorne. Pittsburgh leads 5-3.
Like the adjustment by Wisconsin on defense, starting to get some turnovers and give themselves some opportunities to get back in the game. And that's important early on. You got about 3 points in. Wisconsin makes the adjustment. Pittsburgh still leading.
Take another look at Slevin's assist. There's Thorne towing the line. And Slevin, it's a bit impressive to see a guy come from outside of the program and integrate into one of the most experienced, chemistry-heavy offenses you can find. But in just one season, Slevin has carved out a role as a key handler for this Pittsburgh offense.
Pittsburgh, they did a great job this year of not trying to develop their set lines early on. They went into warm-up. They came through. They didn't really have any O&D lines. They tried people in a variety of different positions and started developing, looking to peak at now.
Win the Ohio Valley, Case Western earning that honor after Pittsburgh was upset by Lehigh. Pittsburgh having a fight to the back door bracket, and there, Wisconsin had to fight to maintain possession. Gallagher tracking down that one after Kevin Tang gets a block. Tang off to a great start for this Pittsburgh D-line.
Pittsburgh doing a great job of forcing out and just daring this Wisconsin team to throw it deep. They know in this rain, again, there's not too many of these players wearing gloves on their throwing hands. A lot of bare-handed athletes out there, and they're not able to put it deep with the confidence that they once had.
And there, a turnover between the handlers. Avery Johnson not able to reel that one in, and Pittsburgh's going to get a chance at a break here. They have been pretty efficient, scoring 2 out of their 3 first chances, and they're going to take a timeout to try and make sure they add another goal to that.
Yeah, they've done a great job so far building this lead and kind of a pivotal turning point. Going up 6-3 starts to put the game in a dire situation, and it's going to test the mental toughness of Wisconsin. Team that's been favored, and when everything's going against you, you have to face the adversity. These are tough moments as a coach. When you come into these types of games, you have to get your team to believe they can come back.
And we're going to take a quick break here. We'll be right back with you. And welcome back to UltiWorld's live coverage of the 2016 College Championships. Quarterfinal action between Wisconsin and Pittsburgh, and Wisconsin in an early hole down 5-3. We'll give you some updates from around the quarterfinals. 7 other great games. Teams trying to earn their way into the semifinals from both the men's and women's division. And plenty to talk about what's going on. As soon as we get an intermission here as the teams get ready to resume play. Wisconsin using this timeout opportunity to set up a zone again. And they're going to force this Pittsburgh D-line offense to show what they can do against a zone. Or it's a fake from Pittsburgh. They're actually, or from Wisconsin, excuse me. Faking the setup into a zone and then going back to person before the disc checks in. What do you think of the gamesmanship,
Not
Ryan?
sure how legal that was when you're supposed to be frozen before the point starts. So a little bit of trickery going on as we get into this game.
A strange moment here. We'll see if it impacts anything. As Pittsburgh's offense gets moving the right way, but Saul Graves can't hold on to that one. Quite a few drops in this game. No surprise with wet discs and wet hands. Wisconsin trying to go the other way, and that one's going to come off the gloved hands of Aaron Spees.
And I think you have to start to think about how much is this rain affecting this Wisconsin team. They had so many struggles at regionals in these conditions. I know you guys talking about that a little bit already, but we're seeing just errant throws that they haven't shown us all weekend.
I think the problem for them, Charlie, is that their game is so predicated on going deep where they haven't had to grind out that. We saw actually how it hurt them in the regionals, not even getting to the finals, having to go in the backdoor bracket because they didn't have guys that have been together for a long time coming through for Pittsburgh, and you have a 6-3 lead in the quarters against a team that's been favored against you. This is why you come to this tournament. This is my favorite tournament that there is. Just all the upsets, and we saw, I think, the craziest pool play happen in history.
What was it like for you to be out there in the midst of that? I mean, you mentioned crazy. You were a part of the crazy as UConn upset UNC Wilmington. Heard so much about the play of John Wodach in that game, getting 9 assists.
John Wodach turned into the best thrower in the nation for that game, because there were some throws where we couldn't tell where it was going until it was completed, but they were just on point. And it's so great to come out here because truly any team can win any game. You have to play well. The parity since the last 5 years have been incredible. It used to be there were 4 teams that could win a national championship, and now you just don't know who's going to make it through, and we're seeing that. A team like UMass, who was star-studded throughout the year, going out in pre-quarters. It's an incredible thing to be a part of, and I know for my team, we were just confident we could win any game as long as we played well.
These two teams right now looking to apply their confidence. Pittsburgh has looked like the more confident team so far, and with good reason, holding a 6-3 lead. Again, we see some Pittsburgh poaches and a couple of the offensive guys crossing over to this Pittsburgh D-line. Coaching staff from Pittsburgh marking this as one of the key points to win.
Pittsburgh still just forcing Wisconsin out and daring the throw.
And there they take the dare and go to the deep shot, and not going to come up with that one. A bidding effort there from Glenders. Not going to be enough to catch up to that throw, as we see some of the Wisconsin Hodag defensive players coming on to join this O-line after giving up a couple of breaks consecutively.
Wisconsin needs to find their offensive rhythm fast, because this game can quickly get out of hand. And against a team like Pittsburgh with their throwers, they're not going to give up easy leads.
And this situation is where it's so advantageous for Pittsburgh to have a couple of O-line guys on the field, Trent Dillon and Christian Pitts, but it doesn't help them keep possession. Wisconsin able to get it back with a layout block.
The Wisconsin I saw earlier this weekend wouldn't have hesitated to pick up that disc and just throw it to the end zone. They had a receiver streaking deep, and so far it's been a different game. They're out of rhythm, they're out of sync, they don't know what to do.
But there, a great cross-field throw from Avery Johnson gets Wisconsin a hold. They had to work for it, but all the points count the same, Brian.
Avery Johnson is one of the main throwers for this Wisconsin team, and he's going to have a great game going forward. That was great vision to pick up, find the receiver, look for that inside break across the field. Not usually a staple of the offense, but Wisconsin not usually afraid to take any option when they see open hands, or even not open hands, but just a great matchup.
And a couple updates from scores from around the quarterfinal round in the men's division. Georgia up 5-4 against Harvard. Minnesota and Colorado at 3-3 at last count. And North Carolina leading Auburn, one of the biggest surprises of the tournament, up 4-2 at last count. In the women's division, UCLA and Oregon tied at 3-3. Colorado down big to Stanford, a heavy favorite in that one. Stanford leads 6-1. Dartmouth and Virginia in a close one. Virginia down 3-4, and Whitman has got a huge lead over Northwest rival British Columbia. They're up 7-1.
Wisconsin looking a little poachy to start off, trying to stop any flow. But Pittsburgh has been patient so far. They've been the ones willing to grind the underneath.
Stoppage of play here.
A little reenactment of the steps that Trent Dillon took.
Gotta love the reenactment. I always find this a very convincing piece of evidence to bring to the argument.
And it's a contested travel.
I mean, it really brings out the best in the acting amongst these players. You can really tell who's been a theater major and who hasn't.
We've got great theater going on from all around the fields here, and we have, all over the past couple of days, surprises. You got stars making big plays, people emerging, just rife with storylines. And Pittsburgh trying to write their own story with this berth into the semifinals. As we see Pat Earls put up a deep look, Lemberg trying to chase it down. I don't think he thought that one was coming. A good effort, but not going to produce a result.
Beautiful throw from Earls. It's a shame that receiver did not see it coming. It was out to space. And if the receiver doesn't hesitate, that's an easy goal. And that's what Earls can bring. Just opens up the field. Unfortunately, turns into a mistake that Wisconsin can get back in to the game. They were looking at being down 6-3, and then the game getting away from them. Convert this possession, you're right back in it.
A break here would be huge for the Hodags. And their D-line going to work. Here's a big throw from Glender, looking for the end zone. Bidding cutter does not come up with it. A good look there from the Hodag offense is going to give Pittsburgh 70 yards.
Earls at the corner. He's a guy that is so threatening from any position on the field because of the lefty, hard to mark, and he's just willing to put it deep at a moment's notice.
Earl certainly one of the premier deep throwers. Pittsburgh has been effective going deep. That last turn they had on the Huck was their first deep look turn of the game. Dillon throwing the backhand out to space to Lemberg. Very poachy around the handlers from Wisconsin, trying to slow down these upfield throws. Challenging these Pittsburgh players to throw more passes and potentially more chances for a turnover. Christian Pitts on this near sideline.
It's not that Pittsburgh looks comfortable, it's just that they look willing to take the short throws and be patient so far. Wisconsin's doing a good job of not letting anything big, but Pittsburgh just dissecting this defense.
And their patience pays off. Thorne to Dillon to Pitts. Three seniors connecting for a Pittsburgh hold to make it 7-4.
Pitts, Thorne, Dillon, Earls, these players have been together for so many years and know each other inside and out. And the ability, they know their games, they know exactly what's going to be. So Wisconsin, it's such a tall task on defense. You're going to have to do more than just simply take away the deeps because Pittsburgh is so willing to take the underneath all day, and especially in this rain. If you're Wisconsin, you have to challenge them and to put this up. It's rainy outside. The disc is going to slip for them as well. Challenge Pittsburgh to put it deep against your athletes, which you have a lot of. And for Wisconsin, down 7-4, it's about getting energy back in this game. Who can make the play that gets the energy back? Because we haven't heard the Hodag cheer in a while in this game. And that used to be the most infamous cheer in the game, where you get all of the adults on the sideline, all of the parents and relatives screaming it out of their minds. But Wisconsin hasn't been able to bring that energy. So far, down 7-4.
Now Pittsburgh pulling with a chance to take half. An 8-4 lead would be a shocker to start this one off with the way Wisconsin has played in recent memory, but this Pittsburgh team showing they can execute in these conditions.
These Wisconsin cutters are incredibly deep. They are 30, 40 yards deep and having trouble getting underneath, and that's why we're seeing this Wisconsin offense just relying on swings.
And they haven't gained a lot of yardage yet, still playing in their third of the field, and Avery Johnson's going to try and gain it all at once. Big backhand, beautiful hanging throw from Avery Johnson, just on a platter for Ross Barker to run down.
Wisconsin may have gotten off to a bad start, but Avery Johnson is keeping him in this game. We take a look at the throw.
Just uncorking one.
And that's Wisconsin's style. Johnson's going to give this team confidence. He's been willing to put the deep shot. He's been their best player for a lot of it. And he's going to be super important in this game because the disc has to remain in the backfield with the way the Wisconsin cutters are spaced. Something that they could adjust on. Here now the defense on the field needs to try to get a couple of breaks before half to keep them in this game because Pittsburgh taking a 3-point lead and a half could be devastating.
And one of the challenges, I think, for this Wisconsin offense is that one of their biggest strengths has been their team speed. This is a team that's explosive. Guys like Aaron Speece and Ross Barker are able to find a lot of room to work with and be great targets for deep throwers like Johnson and Craig Cox. But with these conditions, some of that speed has been neutralized. Your ability to throw deep, your ability to accelerate, your ability to catch under pressure, all these things are challenged. And so far that has been a difficult thing to overcome for this Wisconsin offense, which has been a little plagued by drops. But now down just 2, looking for a break. Pittsburgh looking to take half, leading 7-5. A poach in the lane. Each team's going to that strategy.
And just look at the difference between these two offenses.
Oh, and Pat Earls with a ton of separation. Can he run it down? No. Thorne looks deep for Earls, and Earls, I guess, didn't think he was close enough to try and go horizontal for that, but Wisconsin will get another break chance. They're still looking for a break.
Missed opportunity with Pittsburgh, but 3 throws down the field compared to the many that Wisconsin has to take. Wisconsin has to work that much harder just to put in a goal, where Pittsburgh able to get some flow and generate some rhythm.
And again, this Wisconsin offense, the cutters are so far downfield. Perhaps they want to work through the handlers and give the handlers space to get up the line, but really deep setup for these cutters.
Well, a lot of times this Wisconsin team relies on the fact that they can get it to a cutter, and then their deep receiver is in a really good position to go deep right away off the timing. If you're able to get a 15-yard in cut, when your next deep receiver is 15 yards more downfield, it's great timing, great ability to just go ahead and put it. But in these conditions, they're not going ahead and doing that, and Pittsburgh has just been playing underneath.
Great patience there from Wisconsin, generates an excellent deep shot, and that is the break they've been looking for. Bill Kuender going up for the goal on a beautiful throw there from Wisconsin. They've been looking for that break, and that's going to make it 7-6.
Pivotal break in this first half. Great job staying patient against this Pittsburgh offensive line, swinging it around, and they finally were able to get it to some cutters and get the flow they've wanted. An open deep shot has not been something they've been able to do this game.
Yeah, and what set that up, what comes before that replay you just saw, is a great break throw from David Yu. Gets the thrower to the break side, unmarked, and he's able to put up a much easier backhand huck for Kuender to come down with. Wisconsin has been a little shaky on their hucks, but that one's going to be a completion.
Charlie, but Wisconsin could be in need of one right now to get a whole boatload of those gloves to their players.
Air dropping in the gloves. Could be a strategy we see employed. I'm not expecting it, but with all the surprises we've seen this weekend, I've given up on creating expectations.
Yeah, are upsets the new norm in college ultimate? Because it's not that, it hasn't been that way in the past years.
That's very meta, Brian. Is the upset the new favorite? Is that?
Well, I think that it's hard to say. I mean, you look just a couple years back as we see an offsides here. Colorado and UNC dominate the entire regular season and then pretty much dominated nationals. I think we just happened to have a year this year where talent was a little bit more spread out and there was a bit more parity. Could we see increasing numbers of years like this one? I think that's possible because youth talent continues to thrive around the country and not just in those hotbeds of 10 years ago.
Turning into May Madness instead of March, but I think that's great to see where every team feels like they have a chance. That's not how it used to be coming into these types of tournaments.
And an offsides here gave us 2 pulls and a second effort pull from Wisconsin, setting Pittsburgh up very deep in their own end zone. Trent Dillon's still a couple yards inside of his end zone, but finds his cutter Max Thorne up ahead, and now Christian Pitts. Pittsburgh offense has shown this willingness to just take the little bits of yardage, willing to take the resets. Oh, and Thorne's high release flick. I'm not sure if the mark got a hand on it, but it's going to hit the ground, and Von Kampen's going to quickly take a timeout with a short field opportunity for the Hodags to tie this game back up.
Wisconsin's defense keeping them in the game.
And Wisconsin has converted just a single of their numerous break opportunities through this first half, and they know that just going 1 for 1 in this next one could make all the difference.
Very different game to go into half, 8-7, feeling like you're in it. Pittsburgh had the big lead, and they've kind of made a couple of mistakes here in the late stages that have brought Wisconsin back from the brink.
Are these looking like unforced errors to you, Brian, or are you seeing something a little different from the Wisconsin defense on the last couple points?
I think Wisconsin's played a little bit looser on the marks and have done a good job with their poach D, but Pittsburgh had their chances. It was an unforced error with Dillon trying to go deep to Earls in the end zone, and it was a great opportunity. It was the right shot to take. And here Wisconsin got them trapped in the sideline. Wisconsin has the athletes. You can't go a mistake-free game against them. And so for Pittsburgh, you really have to take advantage of the opportunities that are presented to you. It's going to be a tough hold right here if they can get the D back.
And a couple updates from around the divisions as the quarterfinal rounds mostly reach halftime. One game already past halftime. In the women's division, Stanford up 10-1 on Colorado, a dominant showing in the quarterfinals. Looks like they're going to advance to semifinals at this rate. Whitman also really flexing their muscles against UBC with an 8-3 lead. Let's get back to the game as Wisconsin seeking a break to tie this one. Von Kampen goes back to Lattis. Now towards the end zone. And that's a break for Wisconsin. Bronovan Yogaraja coming down with that one. And we are all even. And as we have seen time and time again on the stream, we're going to go into a point to decide the half. Another look at Yogaraja towing the line for the big break for Wisconsin.
And it really does seem like almost every single game, save for the game yesterday when Whitman beat Texas, has gone to 7-7 and this critical point to take half. Brian, do you take any special time to talk to the team in a spot like this, pick a particular lineup when you're dealing with a spot where you have just this one last point until halftime?
I think you have to get your best offensive line out there if you're Pittsburgh, and normally that's the case with Earls, Thorne, and Dillon. They're going to do a great job out there, and also Slevin, who's been a part of that. But for offense, it's business as usual. You put the guys out in the field, you don't try to treat it any differently. Defensive, it's a matter of you've already taken the timeout. Pittsburgh's a little tired here, so I like the call to not take the timeout. But often here in this situation, you take the timeout, get your guys pumped, get them ready to go, because it's such a critical point. You can go in with the lead or go down. Really important for your defense to put their best foot forward and see what works. It's almost like a mini universe point where you can kind of test out how the second half's going to go.
3 straight goals for the Hodags. Can they make it 4 and take half? Pittsburgh trying to avoid that fate.
Pittsburgh coming out on the side stack, and I think they've been way more effective when they stick with the vanilla vertical stack.
Thorne taking off deep. Earls is going to put it up. Spiess and chase. Thorne turning on the Jets, and that's going to be halftime. Pittsburgh and Sabanur with an 8-7 lead on Wisconsin on the Earls throw to Thorne.
We'll take a look here at the replay. Thorne going deep. We forget sometimes with how good of a thrower he can be that when he plays for club, sometimes he can be the biggest deep threat in the game. He's so hard to guard. Finally taking off. That's a great call by Pittsburgh to call the play to go to half.
And that's going to take us to halftime. 8-7, Pittsburgh leads over Wisconsin.
What does it mean to be powered by Savage? It means we become part of your team. From the moment you're paired with one of our sales reps who will guide you through the ordering process, to working with a designated member of our design team to bring your vision to life. Every step of the production process happens in-house. From printing your gear on our green line fabric made from 100% recycled plastic bottles, to cutting out every piece and carefully stitching it together by hand. Wherever you are, however you play, we've got your back. That's what it means to be powered by Savage.
And welcome back to UltiWorld's live coverage of the 2016 College Championships quarterfinals game between Wisconsin and Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh up 8-7 here in Raleigh, North Carolina at the WRAL Soccer Complex. I'm Keith Rayner, joined by Brian Jones here in the booth. getting ready for the second half to begin. Brian, we've seen a very close game so far. We've seen some execution errors. We've seen the teams try some different defensive looks. What kind of adjustments might you be expecting in this second half?
I think if you're Wisconsin, you're trying to challenge Pittsburgh deep right now, and that's the right strategy, even though Pittsburgh has been able to connect on a few of them. Wisconsin has been able to find their rhythm as a result of Avery Johnson. So for Pittsburgh, can you find different looks to throw at them? Can you make more adjustments, make them be uncomfortable in the same way that they were in the first half? Pittsburgh has limited the deep game so far of Wisconsin. If you're Wisconsin's offense, can you get that started in some way?
Wisconsin hitting at nearly about 50% on their hucks so far, but this pull sticking Pittsburgh very deep into their own end zone. Can they find their way out? Callahan could change the momentum of this game. Pat Earls with the disc. Trent Dillon now as Pittsburgh gains their first couple yardage, and we see a stoppage.
Christian Pitts went for a tumble, not sure what the contact was, but offside of the disc, didn't really affect the play. Pittsburgh started off very deep in this possession, and it's taken them a while to get into a rhythm.
And Jack Slevin finds some space up the line. You with the bid, but Earl still comes up with that one. Earl still in the assist to take us to halftime. It's been a little quiet during the course of this game.
Pittsburgh seems so comfortable just working the disc up the field. And commentators curse once again. As soon as we say something nice, goes the wrong way, and here comes Pittsburgh.
And now a deep shot here from Wisconsin. Von Kampen looking for Kluender, their big deep target, and that's a break to start the half. Brian, Wisconsin ties it up at 8-8.
Pittsburgh still with an advantage here. Up 8. They were up 8-7, now 8-8. Offense can still roll, but we take a look at the replay.
And they love to put it up high to Kluender and let him win the battle in the air. Defender goes up too early. Lemberg with the reverse bookends, and Wisconsin's drawn us even here. A break to start the half. And they struggled to convert in their break opportunities during the course of the first half, but there, a quick deep shot evens us up.
Wisconsin likes to run the fast break, and the rain has kind of slowed down a little bit. We don't see too much of it downpouring on the field, and this is going to help Wisconsin get into a better rhythm into the second half. Pittsburgh made some great adjustments early on. They have themselves in still a good position, and that's what you need to be telling your team at this point as a coach. Everything's in a great place for you. If you would come into the quarterfinals, would you take an 8-8 game, regardless of what happened before it? And I think the answer for every single team would be yes. You'd love to go in with the opportunity tied in the second half, not down. Of course, you'd love to be up 4, but in this situation, this is what you come to nationals for, to compete against the very best, to be challenged, because it's not fun winning a national championship if it doesn't mean anything or it wasn't hard. All these teams have put in a great amount of sacrifice to get here.
And a lot on the line. This Pittsburgh group of seniors won a title when they were early on in their careers, and some other star players really were handling the team, but now it's their Pittsburgh team, and 2 years in a row they've come up well short of expectations. Can they change the narrative this year? A slicing throw there from Trent Dillon to find Max Thorne in the red zone. You don't see a lot of players with the intentional blade on the long throw, but there's some intention from Jack Slevin as he tosses a high release forehand into Andrew Lemberg for a Pittsburgh hold, 9-8.
Lately, it's been about Max Thorne going deep and slipping through the defense. Wisconsin has to be focused on him as a thrower. So far, it's been his ability to go deep in the last couple of possessions that have kept Pittsburgh alive.
Slevin with that OI high release forehand to the break side of the vertical stack gets them a goal. And you're right, we've seen Max Thorne going to the deep lane, something that we haven't seen a ton of him do this season, in part because he struggled so much to stay healthy. This was a guy who last year was one of the best isolation threats in the country because of his speed going deep and his throwing ability coming underneath. and this year maybe has spent more time in the backfield because he hasn't been at full speed and had the ability to attack in the air and attack in the deep lane that he has in previous years.
When he's healthy, he's incredible. It's always about, when you look at the highlight reel, you look at guys like Benyat who come out and are so good in the air, Jeff Babbitt, who's athletically dominant, and you kind of lose focus on some of the players who are a little bit smaller. Max Thorne is kind of like Cassidy Rasmussen in the fact that when he's healthy, he is so tough to guard, so agile, so quick that you put a small man on him and he's going to go deep on him. You put a big man on him and he's going to eat you up in the backfield, and that's why Max Thorne can be so potent.
Thorne, his brother's got a championship to his name. Can he win his own on his own terms? We'll find out as we see a stoppage here.
Yeah, but it took his brother as well to they both had to do it together. In Max Thorne's first year, rookie season, step right up on that O-line. And so it would be an incredible accomplishment to do it with Dylan and Earls.
Of this core group of seniors, you look at Christian Pitts and Earls, Dylan, Thorne. I'd say Max Thorne had the biggest role on that championship team.
And, can't disagree with that, but when you look back at that Carleton comeback back in 2012, Dylan was the one taking the toughest matchups in the handler space.
And here's a tough matchup for freshman Mike Ing, but a mistimed jump there from Aaron Spiess. And Ing, who has a couple inches on Spiess, able to get the better of that opportunity. Spiess has been incredibly effective this season and this tournament, and has been a little quiet so far in this one. Pittsburgh's first break chance in the second half. Kevin Tang, who caught their first break, has had a very strong game. Morgenstern tracks that one down. And we've seen a lot of very deep stacks this game. What advantages might that present for Pittsburgh?
They're trying to use their break lane to generate deep shots like this one.
And Van Dusen tries to snag that one near the line, but Tang's throw is a little too close to the sideline for them to get a completion out of that one.
Not great defensive offense there by Pittsburgh. They had to swing it around several times to just get an opportunity. As you said, the stack is really deep, and I don't know that's conducive for them getting the easy looks that they want.
And you talk so much about that core senior group for Pittsburgh as we see another deep look here and a block by Dylan Tranquillo, but those guys are not the only seniors on this Pittsburgh team. You look at guys like Kevin Tang, like Sam Van Dusen, like Joe Bender, Carl Morgenstern. These are guys who, are looking at, hey, this is my senior year. I'm a big part of this team. I'd like a title. And Van Dusen ripping a lefty backhand deep, but a few yards too far for Morgenstern to track down.
It's tough here for this Pittsburgh team because when you look down the roster, you don't see a lot of height.
Barker's backhand huck bounces high into the air, and Craig Cox, the biggest man in the area, but too much traffic, and now it's a battle of hucks. And a great read by Ing, and not sure if it's an injury or a foul call on that one.
Tough play coming across. Ing comes underneath. Has a great shot at the disc, but there is contact as he comes through, and I do think it affected the play. It's just a question of who had right to that space.
It's always tough when you have one guy who's moving backwards and someone else changes direction to move forwards. It's always difficult to discern which player arrived at the space first, but the call going to be retracted, it looks like. Both teams have now retracted a deep foul call. Great to see that the spirit of these two teams has not been compromised by the competition. And now a great opportunity for Wisconsin to strike. Craig Cox with a throw to space up ahead. Spiess has them on the doorstep.
Fortunate bounce right to where you want it in Craig Cox's hands. He hasn't been able to get into a rhythm with his throwing as well. Again, you look at these players here playing without gloves. It's going to affect the flick hucks.
And here's a flick over to the sideline for Craig Cox all alone. He'll haul in a hold, and Pittsburgh's D-line knows they had some great looks at a break. Failed to come up with one. It's 9-9.
It's too early to be hanging your head going into this game. It's going to be tough to win this. It's a challenge as we take a look here at the replay. It's going to be tough for both of these teams. It's such a challenge going into these games because it goes by so quickly when you're in the moment. All of a sudden you get done and you have a hard time remembering what happened because you're so intense, you're so there trying to do every little thing you can to win. And these games just require everybody to give so much. 9-9, you couldn't ask for a better game here on the showcase field against two Titans.
And we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with you in just a moment. And we're back here for Ultiworld's live coverage of the 2016 College Championships quarterfinal action. If you're looking to keep up with all 7 of the other quarterfinals as well as this one, check out Ultiworld's live page. We've got an updating scoreboard. We've got the tweets flying fast and furious. Ultiworld.com/live. Coverage from all of the tournaments, great games. Find out what happened if you missed it, and keep an eye on what's to come. And here's a hanging, looping backhand huck. 2 defenders in chase, forces Thorne to go up early, and great job by Wisconsin defenders there.
All about the help defense. Great job knowing what was coming. Dylan liked Thorne going deep. It's worked for the last couple of matchups, and Wisconsin was ready for it. Great adjustment.
And Kluender and Kanaki combining to get a turn there, and Pittsburgh's been a lot more aggressive deep in this second half, and it is not paying off.
Wisconsin with a chance to regain this lead, the first lead that they would have had from the start of the game.
That opportunity is going to slip through the hands of Nick Lattis.
I think everybody's heart just kind of dropped and skipped a beat. So tough to see that in these types of games.
Thorne taking off, Dylan with the confidence to just leave it out there for him. Easy rundown for Max Thorne, and Pittsburgh holds, still leading 10-9.
Wisconsin with the opportunity to go up in this game. They knew exactly what was coming. Take a look here.
Dylan, just a beautiful flat throw out towards the back corner. You see Max Thorne with separation. There are not a lot of guys who are going to catch up, and that way, you know, all I've got to do is put it in front of him.
And you go back to the prior huck, and Wisconsin was able to see that coming and get in good position. Thorne still had a play on it, but he was forced to take a much more aggressive path, and that's what happens when you have help defense, which against these types of teams with the athleticism in today's game, if you're not playing help defense, it's just so tough to stop these offenses. It's requiring poaching and transition to man defense. You're seeing a lot more of it than I think than in years past.
Take a look at some of the scores from the other quarterfinals going on right now in the women's division. Whitman leads 11-5 over UBC. Can UBC make a furious comeback? We'll have to hold on to see. Stanford up 13-4 on Colorado, in complete control of that one. Oregon up 11-7 against UCLA in their quarterfinal, and the most dramatic quarterfinal maybe in either division, Virginia up 10-9 against Dartmouth. We'll keep you updated on what's going on and get you some men's scores as soon as we get a break in the action here. But we've got an excellent one going on here, Brian.
Wisconsin's been able to gut it out because their offense has not been in sync all game. They've had to go through and get the scores how they can, just a little bit at random. Their offense relies so much on the deep shots, and it's not been working out so far.
Avery Johnson, really the primary handler for this Wisconsin team, and there you see a saving effort there, protecting their possession, and now Craig Cox with the disc. We know he likes to throw deep, and we know he likes to look for Aaron Spiess, but a jump ball, and Spiess wins it over Ing. Excellent play by Spiess, the team's Callahan nominee, showing why he earned that honor, and they're sneaking one into the end zone to Avery Johnson. Ross Barker for a Wisconsin hold, 10-10.
Throw up a simple jump ball. Ing had great position on it. Spiess comes up with a two-handed grab, as we're going to take a look here on the replay. And then after that, it's just a matter of the Pittsburgh defense being in disarray, trying to figure out what to do, and a great break throw for the goal.
Earl's giving chase and bidding to try and get the block and close that window, but Johnson just able to pull that in. And you like the deep shot to Spiess, but Cox has struggled to get off really the type of sailing deep throws we've seen him utilize throughout this tournament. You know, with a guy like Spiess against Ing, where Spiess has got to have the speed advantage, you really want to get that out in front and let him use his legs. But there's Spiess able to use some veteran wiles and some hops to get over the much taller like Ing. Get you some men's scores as promised. We've got some great games going on. Dartmouth and Harvard, or Georgia and Harvard, excuse me, tied at 9-9. Minnesota has gotten out to a lead on Colorado. They're up 9-6 in their game. A similar margin in the North Carolina-Auburn game. UNC, the reigning national champ, up 11-8. Dylan fielding the pull, centering up to Earls, and again another poach in the lane, trying to take away those early throws, force Pittsburgh to go wide. Hartley dishing it back to Thorne. Slevin loves to get up the line after he completes a reset throw. And now here he is tossing a blade. Earls bids, and it just comes off his fingers. A difficult play, but one you think Pat Earls is going to make most of the time. But here in the quarterfinals, those easy plays can suddenly become treacherous.
I don't like that decision from Pittsburgh. I don't think that's part of their offensive game, to throw to a standstill cutter in the middle of the end zone, even though it was open. It wasn't a well-executed throw, and Earls can make a great play on it, but again, not typically part of the offense.
Kluender looking deep, but overthrowing Kanaki there, and that's going to give Pittsburgh's offense another chance to hold. And again, you look at the aggressiveness that Pittsburgh's throwers have asserted in this second half after looking very patient, looking willing to work the unders, to throw more passes, to take field position over yardage. But here they've been very aggressive, looking deep, and it has really come back and bitten them. They're just 2 of 7 on deep looks in the second half as we see an injury substitution. Pat Earls coming off for Pitt. Mike Ing subbing in, and
this game is taking a turn towards the Wisconsin style of play. The only thing that's saving Pittsburgh, as there's a timeout on the field, is that it's rainy and wet. And so the Wisconsin style of play of putting it deep has not worked out so far. Pittsburgh would do well to calm down a little bit, put in some nice throws, be a little bit more patient. There's nothing wrong with shooting deep, just has to be the right look.
10s across the board here. 10s for each of the teams. About 10 minutes left till the soft cap. Team that wins this one will advance to the semifinal. They'll play against the winner of the Minnesota-Colorado game. Minnesota leading that one at last count. We're going to take a quick break. Just like the teams, we'll be right back with you. Back in the action here. Pittsburgh looking to hold. There's been a couple substitutions. Aaron Spiess now on for Wisconsin. Mike Ing here with the disc, having come on for Pittsburgh. And a stoppage here will bring things to a brief halt.
Pittsburgh would benefit from cleaning up this vertical stack. A lot of players in the lane being able to just change the field, get it to the break side where they've been so dominant. Wisconsin has done a good job of keeping Pittsburgh to one side of the field and forcing them to dink and dunk their way. and gain 5 yards at a time instead of 20.
One of the most difficult things about running this Pittsburgh offense is because their handlers attack so aggressively up the line, their cutters have to be very attentive to what's happening in the backfield, so then cut reactively. And there a blade to Kyle Hartley. Looked like that was high in the stall count, but Pitts finds a target. Excellent play by Hartley to get there. And the guy they subbed in is the guy who comes up with the goal.
Yeah, there's only one player over 6'2" on this roster, and it's Kyle Hartley for Pittsburgh, and there's a big reason why he's gone deep.
Hartley here with the goal, and we're going to make that the BE ultimate play of the game. Take another look at this one. Pitts just needs an option, puts the OI forehand towards the back corner, and really it looked like Hartley was kind of dead to rights, but he got the first lead on that and that gave him the explosiveness to play through. That's the BE ultimate play of the game.
It's a play you normally expect Wisconsin to come up with, the style of play that they go with, which is they're athletic, they're in great shape, and they're ready to attack the disc at a moment's notice. Hartley does a great job and good substitution. It's moments like this when you're a coach, who do you decide to put in the game can make all the difference in the world. Sometimes it doesn't matter whatsoever. You put the guy you trusted, but pretty big risk to put in the sophomore at 6'3" when you have all of these seniors who've had chemistry for years, but great decision that paid off.
And Hartley's kind of the 8th or 9th guy on the O-line. They'll bring him in when one of the O-line guys needs a rest or they need to add a little bit of height. And he's just a sophomore. This Pitt team certainly has some exciting young players who will take over. And there's an exciting play from Kevin Tang, picking off the reset throw. Short field chance for Pitt to break. Morgenstern, the hammer to Tang. A call may send this back, but we'll have to wait with bated breath to see if Tang has caught his 3rd goal and Pittsburgh's got a break.
Foul, possible injury call. Player down for Pittsburgh on the sideline. Can't see who it is at the moment. And this would be huge for this Pittsburgh team as we take a look.
Let's take another look and see if we can discern what happened here. A lot of traffic at the front, and looks like a bid from a Wisconsin player caught a Pittsburgh cutter unaware. Still not sure who that might have been. Take one more look. Looks like Saul Graves taking a shot to the midsection there. A lower body injury right now, and the trainers are going to take a look. And this is a huge moment, Brian, in this game.
Especially because an injury call can take that back.
Yeah, an injury would supersede play here, and the play could return to the point of the injury, but the observers are right now signaling goal, and Wisconsin's jogging back to the line, having just given up a brutal break. Kevin Tang bookends, folks. Kevin Tang has come up huge in this game, and he gives Pittsburgh a 2-point lead. That makes it 12-10. Their first break of the second half.
And with only 5 minutes to go until soft cap, this puts Pittsburgh in the driver's seat. Normally we would trust an offense that's been so senior heavy, but Pittsburgh's given up some big leads throughout this tournament. They've had leads on Auburn early on. They've been in big swings where they've gone on some big break runs. So this game is certainly not over yet, and Wisconsin, with their defensive ability, can get back into it, but I expect things to get real tight.
And a great game so far by the senior Kevin Tang, making some great catches and great throws. You can get some help with your catches and throws. You can wear the #1 glove in Ultimate. Friction gloves help your throws and catches in all conditions. To find out more information and get a pair, visit frictiongloves.com. And this quarterfinal coming down the home stretch. All of these quarterfinals, such big weights, so much pressure on these teams. We'll get you an update on what's going on from around the 2 divisions and these 7 other quarterfinals. You can keep up with what's going on from home. All you have to do is head over to ultiworld.com/live to check out the Ultiworld live page. And thank you for joining us for this live coverage. If you've enjoyed Ultiworld's coverage of the 2016 College Championships or this college season, please consider purchasing a video subscription, or if you're not looking to get a subscription, drop in something in the tip jar. Helps us bring you all this great coverage and the coverage we've got coming for you in the future. Wisconsin trying to secure a future, and a throw up to Spiess is going to get them on the goal line. A hold is essentially a necessity at this point, but a call on the throw. It looks like some travel discussion here between Van Dusen and Ross Barker may send this one backwards. Quick score updates for you from around the men's division. Minnesota up 11-8 on Colorado. Georgia and Harvard locked at 10s. That one has been close the entire game, and North Carolina has been able to hold on to their 2-point lead against Auburn. They're up 13-11. We'll see if North Carolina can finish that off. Play's going to stand, though. Spiess is going to get the disc on the goal line, and now he's looking for anywhere to go, but has nowhere. A block there from Van Dusen gets Pittsburgh another break chance. Can they get 2 in a row? Van Dusen calming things down, slowing things down. He's really the field general of this Pittsburgh defense.
Wisconsin, what a play. Gets it right back in the end zone, but a call on the field.
And Barker able to get in on that one. Let's take another look. Really kind of a difficult reset setup, and a big layout from Barker to get the block. Will it stand? No, it does not. A reprieve, but that throw is immediately going to come off the hands of Van Dusen and give Wisconsin a short field chance to hold.
This has certainly been a game of sloppiness, and it's about which team can make less mistakes down the stretch. Wisconsin's made a couple. Pittsburgh had a chance. Wisconsin back in business on the goal line.
Sunday now with the disc and over to Gallagher. Johnson in the middle, and some loss of yardage here for Wisconsin, but maintaining possession, and that's what matters as they near this end zone. Barker on the open side. Save and grab there by Gallagher. And that one goes into the end zone, but out of bounds. Looking for Colin Sunday, but Pittsburgh's going to get another look at a chance to take a 3-point lead.
And soft cap will go on. It looks like with 30 seconds to go, so we could be possibly seeing a game here that's going to be shortened. Wisconsin in trouble. They've made a couple of critical mistakes, had multiple chances at the end zone, and this is gravy for Pittsburgh if they get the break here. They already have the 2-point lead.
And 2 red zone turnovers by Wisconsin could be burying if they can't get this one back. Deep shot from Pitt. A bid there from Tranquillo is not going to get there.
Don't mind the deep shot. You didn't have a great success of moving the disc. You weren't in a rhythm. Sometimes it's best to just keep swinging it.
And Wisconsin knows failing to get this hold could mean everything. They'll take a timeout to get collected and catch their breath. And Brian, this offense that had been so efficient is now getting mired in mistakes. What are you telling your team if you're in the huddle right now to get things back on track?
Be patient. Let's run our offense the way it's meant to be run. At this point, it's going to be about one adjustment. If you're Wisconsin, they've had it multiple times where they've had dump turnovers. Pittsburgh's done a good job. I think Wisconsin's handlers need to attack. They need to get up line. They need to clear out some space and just use Avery Johnson to move the disc down the field. Rely on your veterans. Be patient. You'll get the good shot. Right now, it's just kind of a chaos on the field. There's a lot of turnovers going on, and it's really easy to buy in that style. Wisconsin just has to settle down.
Some updates on scores before we get back into this one. In the women's division, Oregon has defeated UCLA. They'll advance to yet another semifinal. They win that one 15-8. They'll be playing against Stanford, who won their quarterfinal 15-5 over Colorado. One game still looks contested. Dartmouth and Virginia tied at 12-12. Women just a goal away from advancing to semifinals over UBC. They're up 14-8. Back to the action in this one. Still got a close one as David Yu gets up the line for Wisconsin. Now looking to reset. And one thing I like about the way this Wisconsin team plays is their throwers are very strong fakers. They fake hard with intention. They move the mark. They don't do it so much that they're wasting energy. They're not doing it for no reason, but they do it enough that defenders have to keep an eye on what's happening.
Here we go, Pittsburgh.
Stoppage sends this one backwards. Get you updated on the men's division scores as soon as we get another chance, as Joe Bender and Wisconsin player discussed with head observer Mitch Dengler. Gallagher and Bender ready to check in. And I think this Wisconsin offense looks a little tight to me. But
it's been tough all game because they haven't been able to go to their bread and butter, which has been the deep shots. And they've been not confident with that. Very hard to make the adjustment.
And the one guy putting him up frequently has been Craig Cox. He throws to a jump ball. Mike Ing gets there first but can't knock the disc down. And Colin Sunday gets the goal, and a hard-fought Hodag hold makes it 12-11.
That can be back-breaking when your defense, as we take a look as the disc goes up. Tipped. Pittsburgh player had a great play on it. Could not bring it home, and that can be critical, but also just the frustration level that sets in. Immediately you see guys, their hands in the air, slapping their thighs, going, what do we need to do to get the turnover and get it back? Because you got what you wanted. Pittsburgh wanted to force that throw. They had good position on it, just couldn't execute.
Soft cap has gone off, and we're about a little over 16 minutes away from the hard cap. This game's going to be to 14. That means some of these other games are going to start wrapping up. Georgia and Harvard still even, 11-11 in that one at last count. Minnesota up 12-8 on Colorado. And Auburn trying to claw back. They've been behind by about 2 all game against UNC. Can they make another late run? Stay tuned. Follow UltiWorld Live on Twitter or join us on the live page, ultiworld.com/live. But this one still up in the air. A chance to go to semifinals available for either of these excellent programs. And like you said, it could be all about who makes less mistakes. And that margin could be just one. Dillon looking deep. Thorne has a man defending him. Goes up over Max Thorne. Catching it, but he's on the goal line, and he gets the goal from Pitts. A huge play from Max Thorne brings Pittsburgh just 1 goal away from advancing to semifinals. We got to see that again.
He's only 5'8", but he plays much bigger than that. Max Thorne, the oldest UPA number here, or USAU number we should say now. He's been playing since he was in middle school, probably before that with the Thorne family, and he's absolutely incredible. There's a reason why you're always talking about him. And again, we've always looked at him as such a dominant break thrower that you kind of forget how good he can be deep. He just showcases his ability right there.
Maybe he was never hurt, Brian. Maybe this was the long con. Oh, yeah, Max is hurt. He can't go deep anymore. Just save it for when you need it. But he has been the best deep cutter on this Pittsburgh team today, and they're able to get over Sterling Kanaki to catch a big huck there from Trent Dillon. And I do think that the deep game has definitely been a difference maker in this one. Pittsburgh struggled in most of the second half to start connecting on that. but I think their deep throwers have had more successful throws than Wisconsin. Craig Cox really the big thrower for Wisconsin, and he and Avery Johnson have put up a lot of 50-50 balls, haven't let their cutters use their speed in this game.
Down to crunch time. This is game point for Pittsburgh.
It also might matter that Wisconsin's missing one of their key O-line players, 6'1" sophomore Nick Voigt. He's not been able to play in this game, and he presents a big target downfield to deal with. Wisconsin, though, needs a hole. Season on the line here for the Hodags. Here's Ross Barker in the middle. Pumps a couple of deep looks and resets. Now here's Cox. Will he fire deep? He's been unleashing the cannon all day. Now Johnson up the line. He's looking forward to space, but Ing gets there first, but he macks it. And Aaron Spiess brings in the goal. Mike Ing, 2 Wisconsin goals in a row. First hitting the hands of Mike Ing before finding a Hodag pair of hands for a goal. And another look at Avery Johnson's throw. Ing gets there but can't get a full piece of it. Hits the top of the disc and only changes its flight enough to keep it in bounds, and Spiess gets there. And again, another Wisconsin deep throw that really is not executed the way that they want, and they managed to come away with it. Now, they all count the same, Brian, but you have to be concerned that these Wisconsin deep throwers are not putting up great throws right now.
It's been part of their offense when it was great conditions this weekend, and that's what's so hard, because you come into this game and you feel great. You feel like their offense has been flowing. And we knew coming into this game it was going to be about adjustments. Pittsburgh has been the king of those over the years, been able to make plenty of adjustments. You go back to that Ing play. If you're Pittsburgh, Ing, it looked like, just had an opportunity to get out in front of it. Didn't need, it looked like he was just trying to make the play that was good enough instead of making the secure play, which is, you could have laid out there in front of it, put your chest in front of the disc, and there's no way that's getting through.
You've got to catch that disc there. You got to make a play. And you talked a little about the energy of this game, maybe lacking, particularly from the Hodag sideline. But as we are into crunch time, both fan bases starting to make their presence known. Players on the field looking to the sidelines for support. Hodags turning to their parents and friends, family, and baby blue. Pittsburgh
right
looking
now
to their fan base as the 8th man.
Yeah, they have Trent Dillon right now in the backfield and Max Thorne kind of deeper. So it'd be a great time to get Trent Dillon going deep.
Dillon going deep from the handler spot, but doesn't get any separation from his cover, Chris Weiland, who's done a great job against Dillon for in an unheralded performance. But these Pittsburgh handlers have shown their comfort moving back and forth here. Dillon with the disc. Handlers really just working it between each other, and Wisconsin not able to deny these upfield throws. And there's Slevin's throw pulled in by Hardley. And Pittsburgh's breached the halfway mark here. A goal would end it.
Pittsburgh's done a great job of taking the deep shots in the last couple possessions. That's opening up the underneaths. Wisconsin's just nervous because no one wants to get beat deep.
And really, Pittsburgh has shown the patience on this possession that we saw from them in the first half. They used it to such great effect. Now Slevin over to Lemberg.
Nobody really moving for Pittsburgh, looking for an option.
And Lemberg's throw, he has to pivot and make a difficult inside break attempt, looking for Hartley, but it finds the turf. And Wisconsin's defense stays alive. David Yu taking a timeout. Whew, my heart's beating fast, Brian.
Classic there. Pittsburgh gets stuck. They're not able to move the disc well, and you could see the turnover coming. There were no options. Nobody was moving. Wisconsin, great job of bending but not breaking, as Pittsburgh looked pretty comfortable early in that possession, but ends up with a turnover and now the critical timeout. I don't know. What do you think about that timeout call, Keith? Because Wisconsin's game has been predicated on going deep so often and doing it quickly. It would seem that you get that turnover, able to run up to the disc, get one of your throwers, putting it deep to your athletes.
I like this timeout call because their lives are on the line. There is nothing else to save it for. Sure, there's a point that's going to happen after this, but if you're going to get, I believe you by rule will get an extra timeout as we move into 13-13. But regardless, you need this goal. Failure to get this goal means your season's over. And if you think that a timeout's going to give you a higher chance of doing that, I like that. Just a quick check-in with the other scores there. This game is still in the throes of its late goings, and a couple other games are in the same position. Harvard and Georgia in the men's division, they're tied at 13-13. Also, North Carolina leads Auburn 14-13, and Dartmouth and Virginia in the women's division tied at 13-13. There are some excellent games. It continues to happen here at the 2016 College Championships from Raleigh. Checking back in on this one, David Yu with the disc, and inside there to Aaron Spiess, there's a drop. Trent Dillon, I believe, said that Spiess moved before the disc came in. He may have called a violation, and Spiess may be saying, hey, we need to go back. I'm not sure, but Dillon was not moving when Spiess made that cut. He was looking right at him, not moving, so this is a huge moment in the game as the observers come in to resolve what may be happening.
It's a critical point, and this is where we get into the debate of observers and how active they should be. No foul, it looks like. Will Pittsburgh's disc, I believe.
Maybe there was a foul call before the throw went up. I'm not sure what may have happened, what may have just transpired, but I know the result looks like it's going to be Pittsburgh disc with a chance to win it. The timeout not looking helpful now as Max Thorne picks up. And a call may send this throw to Kyle Hartley back to Thorne.
Earl's on the field. Earlier we saw him run off actually towards the trainer, it looked like, underneath the booth. He's a guy that could be ripping it here. He's not afraid to take that deep shot. So far it's been a lot in the hands of Slevin, Thorne, and Dillon on this possession.
Earl's trying to get open deep now, but the disc goes over to Slevin. Now it's going to the end zone for Earl's. Macked by the Wisconsin defender, but this time they pull it in. And now another chance to break and save their season. The Hodags with Ross Barker. You bids, and it's 2-4. Pittsburgh on the doorstep. Slevin picks up.
So close here, frantic on the field.
And there's one to the end zone, and it's layout, blocked, intercepted on the goal line. This Wisconsin defense just will not quit.
Looks like the rain's starting to come down pretty hard, and it's going to make throws even tougher as there's been multiple turnovers already. It's about who can pump themselves up right now and keep playing hard.
And Kluender trying to look deep, and Christian Pitts just sticks a paw in the air and brings that back down. And now Pittsburgh's offense still looking to close out this game and send them to the semifinals.
Great patience. Thorne and Dillon just taking their time, relaxing everybody, swinging it back and forth. All you need is one isolation cut to go deep.
And hearing some cheers from the crowd as maybe some other games are ending. Will this one on this play? Kyle Hartley gets up for the grab. Dillon's huck is caught. Pittsburgh is going to the semifinals. Kyle Hartley, the sophomore, winning that battle in the air, makes it 14-12 and sends his team on to the next round.
First time since 2013 that Pittsburgh is back in the semifinals. We take a look here. Dillon puts up the bomb.
Yeah, just throwing a big curling backhand throw, leaving the jump ball up for Hartley. That's a lot of trust in the sophomore, and he rewards it with a game-winning grab. Pittsburgh, after losing their first game of the tournament, has won every game since. They're going to the semifinals. They knock off Wisconsin. Your final here, 14-12, Pittsburgh. I want to thank you for joining us here for Ultiworld's coverage of the 2016 College Championship. Minnesota's heading to semifinals for the men. There are some great games going on. I'm not sure Virginia may have actually won their quarterfinal over Dartmouth, but there is so much action moving forward. We're going to actually pass the baton over to ESPN for the semifinals, but I want to thank you for joining us for all of Ulti World's coverage this season. For Keith Rayner, Charlie Eisenhood, Brian Jones in the booth, Jesse Cohen, and Aiden Shapiro Layton as our camera guys have done an excellent job this weekend, and all the staff at Ulti World. Stay with us. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.
This game is brought to you by Spin Ultimate, proud to sponsor Ulti World's 2020 college coverage. Visit Spin Ultimate on the web at spinultimate.com.
Every time we touch the license, we play better. Let's go, kick down the field.
An Ulti World subscription gets you closer to the players and personalities you care about with game video, in-depth written and video analysis,
He's going to take off deep, but what he does is very simple.
documentary shorts,
And we've played Bird Squad before, and it just feels a little bit harder to lose this year.
and a whole lot more. To get your subscription or learn more, go to ultiworld.com/subscribe.